Major, I appreciate that. I recognize District 9 tonight. Before we do, if I may, those of you who don't know, Chris Cassidy's sister-in-law was killed on Friday night. Hollywood. Funeral was today. I'd just like us to remember the Cassidy family. So we'll recognize. Did everybody hear me? I'm sorry, I wasn't. Everybody hear that? Okay, great.
I'd like to call up Pastor Rick Burnett from the Crossroads Community Church to lead us in prayer.
Let's pray. Lord, in your word, you command us to praise, petition, intercession, thanksgiving for kings and all those in authority. Tonight, pray for this mission. Thank you for serve. Anybody who takes a step in leadership fights criticism. Mission is no exception. I'm praying for them tonight. They believe it's right, regardless of whether it's popular. Pray for the Cassidy family. Your comfort them. Pray for wisdom in the body as they make this. Pray for a little bit of laughter to lighten the mood as things are serious. Pray for your blessing. Families, mission, leaders of the county. Ask this.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. And Mr. Neighbors, would you please call the roll?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely.
Oh, all right, ladies and gentlemen, you'll take your handsets. Everybody press yes, and it will stop you right there. Three.
You got it.
Mr. Chairman, we have 21 present and 3 absent. When rolls taken and called, there is a quorum.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clerk. Approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and second to approve the agenda. Any discussion? Favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 6 is approval of the minutes of the previous meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second on the minutes. Any discussion? Favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That motion carries. Item number 7, unfinished business. Report of standing committees, planning,
No unfinished business.
fiscal review,
No unfinished business.
and nominating.
No unfinished business.
Thank you, chairs. Item B is report of special committees. Any reports? Any other unfinished business? We'll move into 8 quarterly reports, road fund, school fund, general county general fund, debt service fund, solid waste, so forth, parks and rec, self-insurance, Randy Porter. Any questions about any of those? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 9, report of standing committees, and we'll begin with planning, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Chairman Atwood. The only thing we have up on our agenda tonight is to consider a request from the election office to declare old voting machines surplus and allow them to be disposed, and I so move.
I have a motion and a second on the voting machines. Is there any discussion?
One question.
And
How
who
many
is
are we
it?
talking?
I'm not seeing. Who's asking? Mr. Wilson.
Sorry. Got to use this again. Are we disposing of all of them?
It's the real old ones, the big ones that they used to wheel around to the vote precincts. It's those that they're getting rid
Have
of.
they been used?
Not in a long time. And the state is wanting them to dispose of them, so they're asking to dispose of them.
Okay, thank you.
I think the last time was when they had those loose chads, if I'm not mistaken. I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Any other questions? Favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries. All right, physical review.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Fiscal review, item A, recommends approval of budget amendments to the county general fund, and I so move.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on county general?
Mayor, I noticed that you did make a change in the update where you had taken funds from the fund balance.
That's for the land that you've got coming up on the agenda.
That's the only change.
And then there was a budget amendment for the schools that you've got as another agenda item also.
Any other questions, discussion? All right, Mr. Clerk.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you favor the motion, vote yes. If you do not favor the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote, and it will stop you right there. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? Give me just a second. Mr. Chairman, you have 21 voting yes, 3 no when the roll was called. 3 absent. Motion carries. Item 2.
Item B, recommend approval of budget amendments to the general purpose school fund, and I so move.
Second.
Got a motion second on general purpose school. Any discussions, questions?
The only thing I was going to comment, I want to thank Mr. McReynolds because every time I call him, he takes his time. He's very patient. And thank you for answering all my questions because there's so much detail in these reports. And again, thank you, Mark.
Absolutely, thank you. Oh, great comment. Any other? Mr. Clerk.
All right, take your handsets. If you favor the motion, vote yes. If you not favor the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. Mr. Moss. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? All right. Mr. Chairman, I have 21 voting yes, 3 absent when the roll is called. Motion carries. Next item.
Item C, recommends approval of the establishment of 127 fund for the American Rescue Plan funds, and I so move.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Can we voice vote this, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
All right, we'll voice vote. Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item D, recommends approval of the extension of the SAIC IDB agreement, and I so move.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? I believe we can also voice vote this. So if you favor the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. That motion carries.
Item E, the Fiscal Review Committee discussed the purchase of additional property for the landfill, but we brought it without recommendation one way or the other.
So we need to start with the motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
Now we've got a motion and a second. We can begin discussions. Any discussion on this particular motion? Motion is to approve. Jordan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mayor, just out of curiosity, how many acres is the current landfill?
A little over 200. I can't give you the exact number, but it's about 200.
Just curious, because I guess it's about 10% increase in size, I guess, with this purchase then.
You're looking at the landfill now. It's been there since back in the 1980s. This one has. With the increased population that we've got in Putnam County and the increased amount of construction, really, And the tornado didn't help matters at all. That took up a whole new cell that we had to use. But we're looking at about 7 or 8 years that landfill is going to be full. We have to be looking for another one somewhere else. If we buy this property, you're pushing it out to 20 years. So it's in my mind, the engineer's mind, everyone that's looked at it, it's a good deal for the county to be able to not have to start looking for a landfill in the next 3 to 4 years.
Appreciate that. I know a few years back, we looked at some of the newer technologies, kind of like what they have in Sevier County and Rutherford County. How's that coming along? Do we have any progress on that front at all and some of these new things coming out? Or?
Well, of course, last year with COVID kind of shut everything down. But the problem is right now with recycling on plastics, China has stopped buying the plastics, and so we can't sell them right now. So that kind of made that project not as lucrative as it would have been before, because that was the whole idea, was pulling out all those recyclables out of the trash. We're still looking at it, just kind of waiting to see if the recycling market picks back up. But right now, it would not be feasible to the county to do that project.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Mr. Bennett?
Yes, looking back, we purchased that 11 acres about a year and a half ago. It seemed like we paid about $6,000 an acre. And what we're looking at now is right at $13,000, just a little under $13,000 an acre.
Mhm.
Do you still think that's a fair price for the potential purchase?
I do, but the other land that we purchased, as Darren brought up, has 2 bodies of water on it that we use as ponds, as sediment ponds, and we more needed that land for the dirt off of it. This land is a more flatter land, and it will be good that we can actually extend the landfill out into that property. So with the rise that there's been since we bought this other property in cost of land with the market right now, I think it's a fair price and a much better option than us having to go out and try to look for another landfill in the next few years, which I desperately don't want to do, and I don't think you do either.
Well, my thoughts are that we do need to purchase it because it joins their current landfill. I don't think the price is outrageous at all. And with the growth coming to the county and the recyclables down, we're going to need more and more space sooner than we thought.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Mr. Neal?
Yeah, I just wanted to, what I wanted to say is what the mayor already kind of hit on. I'm under the understanding that the tornado put years and years worth of fill in that area down there. And I think that when we get land like this, we have to kind of like the land around the courthouse. It don't come around very often. And I just can't believe that he's worked out a deal as good as what he's worked out. And I just want to say thank you for that there, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Neal. Mr. Joe Watson?
Mr. Mayor, when you say engineers, you're talking environmental engineers, correct?
We have a contract with Joe House, our engineer for the landfill. He's the one that did the what I call an engineer's appraisal for it. He specializes, and that's the only thing he does is landfills, and worked for us for several years.
So after the purchase of this land, will there be an additional environmental, just to make sure there isn't any issue?
He's actually already done the environmental on it, and we dug test holes over the property, several of them back a few weeks ago, to make sure that it was good and everything came back good.
No complications.
No, sir.
Thank you.
All right, great, very good. Great questions. Anyone else? No other questions? All right, Mr. Clerk.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you favor the motion to buy the property, vote yes. If you do not favor the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. It will stop you right there. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll. Sure. Chairman, I have 17 voting yes, voting for.
4 no, 3 absent when the roll is called. Motion carries.
Item F. Item F recommends approval of the resolution to request unclaimed property back from the state, and I so move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, in favor of the motion, vote aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries.
Item G recommends approval of the resolution in support of Drug Dealer Liability Act lawsuit, and I so move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? Favor of the motion, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Item H, consider approval of the resolution presented by the Board of Education to move $2 million from the General Purpose School Fund to the Federal Programs Fund, and I so move.
Second.
Mr. Bennett, did I miss you on the previous motion?
That's okay.
You sure? I apologize. I did not see it.
I'm sorry, I just saw it myself. I apologize.
You're good? Okay.
All right.
All right, do we have a motion, Mr.? I know you presented,
I said, somebody back here said the second, I don't know who it was.
all right, we've got a
Okay.
second from Commissioner Bradford. So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? School board's moving $2 million. Everybody understand that? All right, we are going to roll call. So, Mr. Clerk, if you would, we appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you take your handsets, if you favor the motion, vote yes. If you're not in favor of the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. Stop you right there. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? All right. Mr. Chair, number 21, yes, 3 absent. Motion carries. Thank you.
That concludes fiscal review, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate that very, very much. Let me say before I go forward, Commissioners, I definitely want to hear from you. I apologize if I miss you. If I move forward, just yell at me, please. I'm old and decrepit and my mind doesn't work near as good as it used to. But I really do not want to miss anybody. So, again, Mr. Bennett, I apologize.
No problem.
Okay, let's, nominating.
Nothing from nominating, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. All right, item B is report of special committees. Any reports of special committees? Let me report to you, Budget Committee is meeting. The next meeting of the Budget Committee is Thursday night, I believe at 6 o'clock, Mr. Mayor. Is that correct? We're inviting some more department heads and elected officials in for that meeting, which is what is being done at this time. They are presenting their budget to the committee. No decisions are being made because at this point, at least, revenues are uncertain. We won't know till June exactly where our revenues are, but we are listening and hearing from them. So you're invited to come and encouraged to come Thursday night here, at the courthouse at 6 o'clock for the next Budget Committee meeting. So anybody have any questions about that? All right. Absolutely. All right. How about resolutions?
No resolutions, Mr. Chairman.
Awesome. How about election of notaries?
We got a few. Wendy H. Bandy, Lucy Bolenbarker, Christiana Derlinga, Eddie H. Gall, Deanna Haney, Mindy Harville, Jeremy Hollick, Kelly Ray Height, Kaylee Holloway, Regina Ann Johnson, Corby R. King, Tessa Lawson, Shauna Leftwich, Amy Looper, Justin Pace, Melissa Lee Phillips, William Franklin Phillips Jr., Karen Shea, Sheila R. Stevens, Samantha Strode, Cynthia S. Sullivan, Amy Taylor, Wyatt Thatcher, Sandy Thompson, and finally, Abigail Withers.
Motion to approve.
Second. Got a motion and second. Any discussion on the notaries? Mr. Clark.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have to always vote this one. If you'll take your handsets and vote for me, please. Everyone, please vote. Favoring the motion. Stays. Thank you. All right. I'm not going to call for anybody want to change your vote anywhere. Thank you so much. Mr. Chairman, you have 21 voting yes, 3 absent. Motion carries. Thank you all so much.
Thank you,
Michelle,
sir.
don't get gone before
Very kind.
Item number E is to recognize cash flow analysis and monthly budget to the actual report for the general purpose school fund. Is there any questions on that? It's in your packet. All right, we'll move on. Announcements and statements. I'll start. Next month, we will meet at the courthouse. If IT has the chance, and I believe they will, to move all the equipment back over there, we'll be back in chambers. We are going to meet both committee meetings and the commission meeting on the same night, which is the 28th. Is that correct, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
28th of June is when we'll meet. One night, we'll start like tonight with physical review, move through the committees, and then to the full commission in the courthouse. Any questions about that? Glad to be back together again, folks. Good to see you. I appreciate you being here and all you've done through this tough time. So thank you for that. Any other announcements or statements?
I just had a question. Mr. King, were you going to talk tonight about any of the funding? You know, the funding you're going to receive?
It's not on the agenda, Mr.
Okay.
Wasn't.
Okay, no, I just didn't know.
His budget will be presented to the budget committee with all those details in place, and then of course the debate in the commission floor after the budget committee's recommendation. So we have between now and then probably, actually, to call if those are kind of questions you need answers to. I'm sure he'd be happy to accept that and answer that question. If he has the answer yet. A lot of those things are not decided as of yet, to be frank with you. But again, Thursday night's the budget committee, so I encourage all of you folks. We've been already doing some things, and it's most important thing that you were elected to do. I don't mind telling you. So let's take it serious and educate yourself as much as possible before it comes to the vote. So thank you for the question, though. Any other announcements, comments, statements? We stand adjourned.